All right, this is Mark Adams with 4Quartersonline with another edition of the Extra Point. We are now joined with Bozeman, brand new head coach, Coach Sweatt. Coach, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about Bozeman football. Talk to us a little bit about just what has it been like for you being on campus, having the opportunities to work with your guys one-on-one, and just what gets you excited about this spring?
Thank you for having me on, by the way. This spring it's kind of been crazy. I came in on the 29th, very first day of spring, and kind of got caught with a buzzsaw of not physicals not being ready. Like they were going to run out and expire, and I guess generally here they've had a bus that comes by and does all this. So anyways, day 2 of spring, I'm running the kids to the front office to get physicals done. So it's been kind of hectic. As far as the people go, the people here are awesome. Like from the top to the bottom, from the custodian to your principal, everyone's awesome. They've accepted me and embraced me. And as far as for the kids go, they're hard workers. And that's the biggest thing I can say. They want to please. They want to do the best they can. And I'm excited about where we're looking at going from here as far as that goes.
Yeah, I would just say it seems like the engine was still running a little bit. You know, this is a team that you inherited at a state semifinalist, really set a lot of precedents going into last season, just being able to be one of the more dominant teams, not just only in the rural classification, but in the panhandle as a whole. You know, when you look at kids that are returners, you expect to have a lot of experience. Is that kind of what you encountered kind of going into this spring, seeing a lot of experience?
No, actually, we're young. You know, we're young. Like I have 3 seniors. That's what we have. We're very young. I think they graduated most of off the defense last year, besides Brent Anderson, the corner, and I think Colton, our big time receiver we have, he didn't play defense last year hardly any at all. So we're very, very young on defense. Like I'm just very young, and offensively, you lose a quarterback, and the Gay. Now we have his brother coming back, but Peyton Gay. You have the running back that was a tremendous run. Both those guys gone. One Texas A&M, one to Southern Miss. You lost a lot of pieces. I think offensive line wise, some guys graduated. So we're young, and which is great for me. I love that. I'll be able to get my hands into a lot of different areas. So I'm at middle schools right here on campus. I mean that's tremendous. Like the opportunity in itself is just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. Coach, tell me a little bit about where you came from, your background, how long you've been coaching.
I can't. So I'm originally from Wakulla County. So Wakulla County is where I graduated. I graduated in '97, Wakulla County. I went to the University of Georgia, played ball at the University of Georgia. I started coaching while I was also one of those guys when that degree was free, did not take advantage of that degree being free. And so I came back home, and Coach Jones, J.D. Jones, the legendary coach over there, he embraced me right back in and kind of got me in the fold. I started at the middle school level in 2000, right around 2000, and then basically been coaching since. So I went from there. I stayed at Wakulla for a while. Then I went up, moved to Tennessee, and was officer coordinator at a little county school up there near this Middle Tennessee. There for 2 years, and then I came back and got back with Coach Cleese and coached with him for probably 4 or 5 more years. And I actually got out of coaching for a minute. I own my own business. I own a barbecue business. So I've got a crazy background as far as this goes.
We like hearing stories about that, though. In my opinion, that makes a good coach. You got to have some other experience to round you out.
Yeah, man. I own my own business for about 4 or 5 years. And Coach, matter of fact, Tanner Jones, Coach Jones' son, called me and said, "Hey, you want to coach?" I was like, "Yeah, but I got to get in the building. You got to get me in the building. I can't, I was running I was catering. All I was doing at the time was catering. And so I said, but you got to get me in the building. That's the only way I'm going to do this. You get me in the building." He said, "I got you." He had me in the job in like 2 days. So once I got in the building, it kind of reality hit, like how much I loved it, how much I missed it. It'd been like probably 3 or 4 years. Now anytime Coach Cleese needed something to happen for him, like, "Hey, Coach Sweatt, would you mind coming here and fixing? Come here and put your foot down for a couple of days." Or if he needed help with anything, I always came and helped him. And but when Tanner asked me to do that, I said okay. And I actually went back and got my degree, finished it like in about 1.5 years. It's done, and was with him for a year at Taylor County. We went on, had a really good season there. We went went into a second, third round and lost to Florida High, at Florida High, and then the next year I went up to Georgia. I met a guy at Jones County. I met a guy at a street clinic at Jones County, Georgia. And he said, "Would you ever think about moving to Georgia?" I was an offensive line guy. I was like, "Yeah." I talked to my wife. We moved to Johns Creek in Atlanta, which is a big. Imagine that's a big. Your Wakulla County to Johns Creek in Georgia was big time.
Yeah,
that's the move that kind of propelled me here.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been out to Johns Creek. That is about as close to a Texas-sized kind of environment.
Yes, it's huge football. I mean, it's 6A football. It's 6A there, so the numbers are crazy. But I mean, it's a different. Like you're thinking, like kids. Like that's the thing about being a diversity. Like I've been in so many different things. Like I went from just coaching, your rural kids or whatever. Now you're at this big city level, and they've got everything in their hands. I mean, the kids in the parking lot, their kids do the parking lot better than the teacher parking lot. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So I was there for 2 years, and I left and went to Grayson. I was at Grayson for a minute, and then I went to Gainesville High School. From Gainesville High School, I was there for a year. I went and went to Oconee High School. Went to the state semifinals of Oconee High School. We lost to Cedar Grove, freaking powerhouse. Lost to them.
Yeah.
And then my last stint was at Harris County High School, right north of. We went to the furthest they ever gone in the playoffs there.
Yeah, I was expecting you to drop Buford. I didn't know if you had made a stop there, but yeah,
man,
you would have hit the trifecta if that was the case.
I was hoping. I tried. I promise you, that wouldn't be like we're trying. I tell you that. Coach, the coach there, he's a phenomenal. Like he's unbelievable, unbelievable human, great guy. And on top of that, that's the biggest thing. Everyone I work for have been great, just great humans, like great people. I've now taken from all those good head coaches I've been around and said, hey, this is what I wanted to look like, and I've kind of brought all of them into kind of one mold, and I'm thankful for all those guys, man. I've just from Coach Jones to my last coach with Coach Tommy Watson, I've been around some really good football coaches, really good head coaches, and I've been blessed for that because it's helped me know what I want to do here.
Yeah. So you come back to Florida. And the landscape here has changed dramatically. Even just looking at some of the new classifications that have come out from the FHSA, there's been a lot of shuffling going on. And right now, I would say probably some of the more interesting takes are just really understanding what. And for me, it's kind of weird because I've seen behind the scenes and I know exactly what it looks like. But I think a lot of people are now just starting to understand that. Wait a minute, for a head coach in the state of Florida, this is the kind of 3-ring circus you got to put on in order to get through a successful season. What are your thoughts on just not to touch on too many of the differences between coaching in one state or another, but just what are some of the things that just kind of stand out to you as far as being a head coach in the state of Florida right now in 2024?
Man, I explain it as like I call it the Wild Wild West now. Like it's a different world. Like, and it was back then, back when I was back last in Florida, which is just 5 years ago. It wasn't that long ago, but it's still changed dramatically since then. And basically South Florida's coming up here. The South Florida model. Where in Miami you could go from school to school, like it's kind of come up here, and I think that's the major thing as far as that goes. Another thing is if you're talking about state to state, it's really and truly there's such a teacher shortage in Florida. Like there's a teacher shortage, and I think I had a conversation with my head coach from this past year. He was calling to check on me, see how everything went, and he just said, asking, how you getting, how you getting your coaches in? I said, well, I got the 2 I wanted. That I needed. Coach, Mr. Beach was very generous to give me that. But like now it's finding those pieces. Like where Georgia, there's a site you can freaking go on, and I'm talking like it's a boom. You can send it. People are calling you like left and right. Here's a little different. You got to work it a little bit different for it, and that's a major thing I've noticed as far as that with getting your coaches you want on staff and getting good quality, get quality guys. Because a lot of people are leaving profession. They just really are.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of guys, just a lot of good coaches, and it's disheartening. You don't want to see good people because the kids feel it first, because they build those relationships, and you and I think know exactly how that turnstile goes when you don't have good quality people working with your kids. but just out of necessity because bills got to get paid and lights got to stay on. So it could be a little rough. And I've seen a good chunk of guys just kind of have to do what they have to do to make sure that the family gets taken care of. So it is an interesting time to be in. Hopefully, there's a lot of initiatives going around where I've seen things where they're trying to get pay increase or come up with a baseline because I had an interesting conversation with Coach Cole a few months back, and he just listed out all of the jobs you have to do. And it was very interesting because that not only was the list long, it was also, you would think that there would be a volunteer or somebody else that could come in and kind of help assist with these things, and there's not. It's you.
It's you and your good guys you got with you. I mean, that's what it is. He's not lying. I think I might have saw that from you or whatever. And Mike is a great guy. I mean, great. Yeah. I mean, I let him and Coach Berger. And as a matter of fact, I stayed with Coach Berger. They had a strength clinic about 4 or 5 months ago. I stayed with Berger as assistant. I've coached some all-star games with those guys, and just great people. But he's not lying about that. That's the thing. I've had several people like, why'd you come back to Florida? Like, why'd you do it? And the opportunities, I really, when I came here and saw the opportunity, and I remember Bozeman, I was at Franklin County a year, and I forgot to even mention, I was at Franklin County High School. My brother was a basketball coach there. They needed help, and I said, well, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, I was working as a deputy. I was in law enforcement at the time. So I said, hey, I was working midnights, worked crazy hours, and I said, well, I'll come help. And I was there, and I saw Bozeman play, and that's honestly, I saw the type of kid they were, and I was like, man, they remind me a lot of the type of kid I grew up with, the kids I grew up around. And I was like, that's what kind of drew me back, as far as money goes. Yeah, that was not, it's totally different as far as that goes up there. You have to, the more, I think, I can't really explain it, but Code put it the best. I mean, as far as what he said, he really did. Coach Code really did. I mean, you don't think about what I've been up here since, it's 7 o'clock this morning doing laundry all morning.
Right.
Getting those clothes washed. I mean, the next day, now you're taking up gear, counting for the gear. You have to, hanging the stuff up. I mean, it's nonstop that no one thinks about. You're waiting the parent that doesn't get there, which is, they're working. I get it. My mom was that way. My mom worked 2 jobs. So I was the last kid to get picked up too. So you're waiting for those kids to get. So 7, like I got home past 8:30 or 9 since son came down since the 29th.
Yeah. And so, I agree with you. I've been that kid. My mother took care of her parents, until the day they went over on the other side. And you end up being in that spot where it's just like, if you don't have that person who's willing to stay up there with you, make sure that you're going to do the right thing. And you don't really realize, especially when you're 17, 18, you ride a rail of just irresponsibility, like right there. You take one
right there in your hands.
Yeah. You just, and you need people like that. But what stands out to me a lot, especially, I posted something that I reposted something Corey Fuller put up a couple of years ago when he was at Gaston County, and he's over there, painting the baseboards of the locker, and it's just whatever I got to do to get it done, and it's you don't really understand the kind of impact that goes, because when kids see you doing it, then they start to. Somehow that mechanism starts to turn where it's just like, okay, wait a minute, if coach cares enough to get down on his hands and knees and start scrubbing, Coach Shakir would be like, okay, we're gonna clean the linoleum, no cleats in the locker room, we're gonna make sure this stays clean. It just kind of it coincides with teams that consistently win.
Yes, and it does.
Continuing to elaborate on that, do you think there's something that goes hand in hand with like care for the program that you try to emulate with the kids?
Yeah, I was blessed with like I said, my assistant coach I brought in was Derek Allen Jr. His like a guy, I've watched him be raised up, but he's a guy that I had to bring. He's my hat to, because what he brings to that same thing. Like I had to have him and his wife. Those are my 2 people I said I had to have, because I don't do this without them. And we're the same way. We're cut from the same cloth. Like, we're going to pick stuff up. We're going to pick trash up. When we see trash on the side, we're going to pick it up. Those kids recognize it. Those are little tiny things like that that'll like the first thing I did, I walked in this locker room. We cleaned this locker room up like spick and span. Like, I mean, that was the first thing we did. The first day I said, y'all clean this locker room. We're not living in, we're not living in trash. We're not going to do that. I don't know what y'all did. I don't know why it's like this now, but we're going to pick it up. I started doing that. The kids see it every day. They clean this locker room up. We have a list. They're going to clean the locker room up. Those little tiny things matter. Like I talk about, my biggest motto is win, and all it is win at everything you do.
Yep.
If you try to win at every single thing you do, whether it's loving your mama, doing your homework, dressing, putting your clothes on, brushing your teeth, all these things, you try to do that in everything you do, you're going to be successful somewhere down the road. And that was something my grandfather instilled in me. Thankful I had him in my life. But those things matter to these kids. Like they're seeing that. Once I started doing that, I said they're going to fix some showers. They're going to fix these toilets. They're going to fix. And they started doing that. Everyone, like the county came in and started fixing us. Like we wouldn't fix that equipment room up where it's efficient. Those kids saw that, and they helped do it.
Yeah.
So I think that it goes hand in hand. Like what kind of kid you want to have, and we're past. Football's great, but 95% of these kids aren't going on to play after that. And if I can affect them. Affect them in those other parts of life. Like I thank God for myself playing sports because, my dad took a hiatus for a little bit. He's back in my life now. He's a pastor, but he took a hiatus for a little while. And those men that coached me raised me and molded me into the man I am right now because they were in those years that you're between 11 and, like I said, 10, 11 and 17, 18. Those are the years you could really mess up. Because like you said, irresponsibility is right on the other kicking at your door.
Yeah, I was blessed enough to have my dad as long as I did, and I still needed some extra elbow grease from some other people kind of get on there and kind of polish me out. So I definitely understand. Coach, let's talk about some of these guys specifically, especially some of the younger guys that you are really excited about. Let's jump into some X's and O's and who you got coming back and what makes you really take notice, especially after this spring going by so fast as it did.
So I talked about the Peyton Gay last year, the quarterback, but he's got a younger brother, Hayden Gay, and he is a rising sophomore. The kid can play. He truly he can throw the football. He has managed to pick up the offense pretty quickly. Smart kid. Both of them are, both got great parents. And he's a kid that's really, took my eye. There's another kid, Colt McClellan. He's a rising junior. Receiver, 6'2", 175, 180 pounds, can fly, can run. The senior have returned Brent Anderson, a cornerback, a lockdown corner. These guys I'm excited about. We have in our offensive line, I'm an offensive line guy. We're going to be pretty good up front when it's all said and done. Now we need weight room so bad it's not even funny, and I can't wait till I was like, everyone's like, they can't wait for the spring game. I'm like, I can't wait till after the spring game. Because I can't wait to get in that weight room with these kids and start molding bodies. Like they have no idea how good they can be. I mean? There's so much potential in that. Even we have rising ninth graders, some just really good looking kids. And forgive me, I don't know all the kids' names. I've only, like I said, I've been here for 3 weeks and I've been hitting the head a bunch of times. So taking a few heads myself. So a lot of these names, I mean, we have another kid, Asher. He'll be a center guard type, a wrestler. So we've got some kids coming. They fit what I want because my brand of football is physical. We're going to be physical, and that's no matter what we're doing, we'll be physical. How big social media is for these kids; they have no idea.
Yeah, definitely.
And the recruiting landscape is so much different. It's just so much different when I grew up. I mean, probably when you both grew up, it's just different.
Yeah, I'm used to dropping off tapes at the Greyhound.
Yeah,
like that's how it went down. So now,
the whole games. Here you go. Now they want a minute and 45 seconds. Give me all your highlights. Back in the day, back in the day, they didn't want highlight. They want to see you play for a whole game.
Yeah,
and the difference is too now. What people don't know, like these parents don't know, like these colleges already have access to Hubble.
Yeah,
beforehand, they've already got access to all of it. So a lot of times they've seen what they've already wanted to see, even beforehand. And a lot of people don't realize that. So you have to be really, really, really on those guys. And hey, and we've had some good guys stop by us so far. Especially seeing that we haven't had a coach here they haven't had a coach here for a minute. So now that I'm here, there's been several stop by. So.
Yeah, there's so much now that goes into, if you pass the eye test, it's almost like, what can you do to lose it? Because it used to be reversed, where it's, you pass the eye test, this is what you got to do to get it. Now it's you know, it's like you start out up here, but you can trickle down, you know, just
you can.
And I think that's the biggest challenge with, I think, a lot of kids is just controlling your antics. So, and I would give everybody, you know, their youthful free pass because you are the age you are, but that is really the make or break right now. So,
yeah,
and then everything being publicized now, everything's like out in the open. So, I thank God that it didn't exist when I was coming up.
Thank God too. I promise you. That's a blessing. I got another blessing. That blessing came. There was nothing like that when I was around.
Well, Coach, I got one more question before I let you go.
Go ahead.
You're a barbecue guy. You know what goes into a good meal. What is the worst pregame meal you've ever had?
Oh my word! I've had some bad ones. I can't lie to you now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had some bad ones. It's so many bad ones I've had. It's sad to say that. Like I was also spoiled. Now you have to figure when I was at Wakulla High School growing up, and in college, you're from Wakulla, which we ate.
Yeah, I play that guy. You go to Wakulla, you get a meal. You go to Swanson, you get steak. They're gonna have your little white styrofoam box.
Yep.
And you know, so we ate Madison, you're gonna get a meal.
So I was spoiled now. So I mean, I went to Georgia. You eating daggum whatever heck you want to eat. So I mean, so then but I've been to some that and I love churches coming in and helping. But there's been some where you've gotten to. And it was, man, the chicken was so dry you couldn't even hardly eat it. I mean, just taking I was like, man, that's just so bad. And it was barbecue too. So I mean, I'm also a snob when it comes to that too. So I've cooked it, and so I remember I was like, where's this? And you feel bad about it because this is church, and you have to ask forgiveness. Like, God forgive me. I know they cooked it with love, but they loved on it a little too much.
If you bless it right, it's all good.
It is. I was blessed. I had a couple bites, so I said, all right, that's good. And bless that garbage can with it too. Yeah, it was about.